The studio lights burned brighter than usual, casting sharp shadows across Elon Musk's face as he sat stiffly on the sleek leather couch of the midnight hour. His tailored suit was impeccable, but his knuckles betrayed him. White-knuckled grips on the armrests spoke volumes about the tension simmering beneath his composed exterior. The host, known for his razor-sharp wit and unapologetic jabs, leaned forward with a predatory grin. "Elon," the host began, his tone dripping with faux camaraderie, "you've had quite the year, or should I say, quite the disaster." Musk blinked once, slowly, his expression unreadable. He knew this moment would come. It always did, but tonight felt different. Tonight it wasn't just criticism, it was an ambush. "And let's talk about that rocket launch," the host continued, leaning back in his chair like a cat toying with its prey. "Billions spent, and what do we get? A fiery explosion over Texas. How does that feel, Elon? Like watching your dreams go up in smoke?" The audience tittered nervously, unsure whether to laugh or recoil. One woman near the front clutched her purse tighter, visibly uncomfortable. "And then there's your leadership style," the host pressed on, undeterred by the growing unease. "Some say you're brilliant, others call you detached. A man so obsessed with Mars he forgets Earth exists." Gasps rippled through the crowd. A few murmurs turned into stifled laughter, but most people shifted awkwardly in their seats, sensing they were witnessing something raw and ugly unfold. Musk didn't flinch. His jaw tightened imperceptibly, his lips pressing into a thin line. His piercing blue eyes locked onto the host, who seemed oblivious to the storm brewing behind them. For a fleeting second, Musk's fingers twitched against the armrest, betraying the turmoil within. "Control," he reminded himself silently. "Stay calm." But inside, memories collided. Sleepless nights at SpaceX headquarters, arguments with loved ones who accused him of being absent, headlines branding him as reckless or delusional. Each word from the host struck a nerve, reopening wounds he thought he'd buried long ago. Finally, Musk moved. Leaning slightly forward, he exhaled deeply, his voice cutting through the charged silence like steel wrapped in velvet. "I didn't build rockets because I wanted fame," he said, his tone steady yet tinged with emotion. "I built them because I believe in something bigger than myself. And yes, I've failed. But failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of it." The room froze. Even the host paused mid-sentence, caught off guard by the unexpected depth of Musk's response. For a moment, no one dared to breathe. The audience started, wide-eyed, as Musk continued, his words flowing with quiet conviction. "You think I don't hear the critics? Of course I do, every day. But here's the thing, they're not wrong, not entirely. I've made mistakes, sacrificed things I can never get back. But if I hadn't taken those risks, none of us would be sitting here talking about the future of humanity." Tears welled up in the eyes of a young woman in the front row. Nearby, a middle-aged man nodded slowly, as though seeing Musk in a new light. The energy in the room shifted, no longer hostile, but reverent. Backstage monitors flickered with live tweets pouring in. Elon Truth trended instantly, alongside hashtags like TalkShow Takedown and Authenticity Wins. Fans praised Musk's courage while critics dissected every syllable of his speech. "Did you see his face when he talked about failure?" one fan tweeted. "That's real, that's human." Meanwhile, producers scrambled to adjust camera angles, capturing the audience's stunned reactions. This wasn't just television anymore. It was history in the making. As the applause faded, Musk allowed himself a brief glance at the crowd. Behind the bravado, he felt the weight of everything he'd left unsaid. The lonely nights questioning his purpose, the strained relationships with his children, the relentless pressure to prove himself again and again. This moment wasn't just about silencing a critic. It was about confronting the parts of himself he'd hidden from the world, and perhaps finally beginning to heal. Behind the polished facade of innovation lay a man burdened by expectations. Elon Musk, the name synonymous with ambition, carried an invisible weight that no rocket could lift. To the world, he was untouchable, a visionary whose ideas reshaped industries. But beneath the surface, cracks began to form. His advisors often marveled at his ability to compartmentalize, how he could pivot from discussing interplanetary colonization one moment to negotiating billion-dollar deals the next. Yet those closest to him noticed the toll it took. His once sparkling eyes now held shadows, reflections of sleepless nights spent chasing perfection. Fame had transformed Musk into both a hero and a target. While fans hailed him as a savior of humanity, critics dissected every misstep, amplifying doubts he already harbored within. Late at night, when the noise faded, loneliness crept in like an unwelcome guest. He scrolled through social media, reading comments that ranged from adoration to vitriol. Each insult stung more than he cared to admit. "Why does it matter so much?" he muttered aloud, though no one was there to hear him. It mattered because, despite his accomplishments, he craved connection. A sentiment of fame only complicated. Musk's children rarely saw their father outside of headlines or staged family photos. When they did, conversations were brief, interrupted by phone calls or urgent emails. "You're never here," his eldest son, Xavier, snapped during a rare dinner together. "We're not props for your PR team." "I'm trying," Musk replied, frustration creeping into his voice. "Do you think I don't want to be around? Do you know what's at stake if I fail?" Xavier rolled his eyes. "It's always about stakes with you. What about us?" The argument ended abruptly, leaving Musk staring at an empty chair where his son had been moments before. Guilt gnawed at him, but duty called again, pulling him back into the relentless grind. Romantic relationships fared no better under the glare of fame. Tabloids feasted on rumors of strained marriages and bitter divorces, painting Musk as cold and unfeeling. Grimes, his former partner, once confided in a friend, "He loves deeply, but he doesn't know how to show it. His mind is always racing toward the next big thing." Their split wasn't just personal. It became a public spectacle. Headlines questioned whether Musk valued Mars over love, further isolating him emotionally. When Musk agreed to appear on the midnight hour, many questioned his decision. Known for its brutal interviews, the show thrived on controversy. "I need to face them," Musk told his PR manager Samira, who winced at his resolve. "If I don't confront these accusations head-on, they'll keep defining me," Samira sighed. "Elon, this isn't chess. You can't predict every move." But Musk was resolute. For too long, others controlled his narrative. It was time to take it back. "Are you insane?" barked Daniel, his longtime advisor, slamming a folder onto the conference table. "This guy eats people like you for breakfast." "He's right," chimed Claire, the communications director. "You're walking into a lion's den. One wrong word and we're dealing with another PR nightmare." Musk leaned back in his chair, unfazed. "Sometimes you have to burn bridges to build new ones. Trust me, I've done my homework." Yet even as he spoke confidently, doubt lingered. Was he ready for what awaited him? Back in the studio, the host smirked, relishing the chaos he'd unleashed. "Let's talk about your leadership style. Or lack thereof," he sneered. "Some say you're brilliant. Others call you reckless." Musk clenched his jaw but remained silent, letting the barbs sink in. "And then there's the divorce," the host continued, leaning forward conspiratorially. "Care to share why she left? Too busy dreaming about Mars to notice Earth falling apart?" Each question struck like a dagger. The host mocked Musk's failed ventures, questioned his mental stability, and accused him of neglecting societal issues in favor of grandiose projects. "Do you even care about real people anymore?" the host pressed, his tone dripping with disdain. Musk's hands tightened around the armrests, knuckles white. Inside, memories surged. Arguments with Grimes, missed birthdays, endless scrutiny. In his mind, Musk revisited nights spent staring at the ceiling, questioning everything. Had he sacrificed too much? Were his dreams worth the cost? "What if I'm not enough?" he whispered to himself during one such moment, tears pooling in his eyes. These doubts haunted him now, amplified by the host's relentless assault. Another memory surfaced. A heated exchange with his daughter, Maya. "You promised you'd come to my graduation," she'd said, her voice trembling with hurt. "But you didn't, just like always." "I'm sorry," Musk replied weakly. "Things got complicated." "Complicated? Or convenient?" she shot back, walking away before he could respond. The guilt still lingered, raw and unresolved. As the interview wore on, subtle signs betrayed Musk's composure. His breathing quickened, his gaze flickered between defiance and despair. The audience sensed it, the unraveling of a man who'd spent years hiding behind ambition. Finally, something inside Musk snapped. Enough. Leaning forward, he locked eyes with the host, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. "You want to know why I do what I do?" he began, his tone steady yet charged with emotion. fine, let me tell you." The room fell silent, anticipation crackling in the air. Just as the host prepared to deliver another biting critique, this time questioning Musk's mental stability, a sharp intake of breath silenced him. Elon leaned forward, his piercing blue eyes locking onto the host with an intensity that sent a ripple through the room. "That's enough," Musk said, his voice low but commanding. The host blinked, momentarily thrown off screen, attempting to regain control. But Musk wasn't backing down. "I didn't come here to be torn apart for entertainment value," he continued, his tone firm yet tinged with emotion. "So let me speak." For the first time in years, Musk felt clarity, a resolve born not from anger but from exhaustion. He was tired of hiding behind ambition, tired of pretending the criticism didn't cut deep. Tonight he would bear it all. Musk exhaled slowly, his shoulders relaxing slightly as he shifted gears. His earlier defensiveness melted away, replaced by a raw honesty that caught everyone off guard. "I've failed more times than most people will ever try," he admitted, his voice steady but laced with vulnerability. "But failure isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace. It's how we grow." The audience leaned forward, captivated. This wasn't the brash billionaire they'd expected. This was a man unafraid to confront his flaws. "Think about it," Musk pressed on, his passion igniting like sparks in the air. "Every rocket launch I've done has taught me something, even the ones that exploded. Without those failures, SpaceX wouldn't exist, and without SpaceX, humanity might lose its chance at becoming multiplanetary." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle over the room. "Success isn't perfection. Success is persistence. It's getting back up every time you fall. And falling is inevitable." A murmur rippled through the crowd, some nodding in agreement while others wiped away tears. "But here's the thing no one talks about," Musk added, his gaze sweeping across the audience. "Living under constant scrutiny takes a toll. Every decision I make is dissected, every mistake magnified. Do you know what that feels like? To have millions of strangers judge your worth based on headlines?" His voice cracked slightly, betraying the pain beneath the bravado. "I hear them, the critics, the doubters. They're always there, whispering in my ear. But I can't let them win, because if I do, then everything I've worked for collapses." Musk paused, collecting himself before continuing. "There are nights when I lie awake, wondering if it's all worth it. Wondering if I've given too much of myself to dreams that may never fully materialize. My kids barely recognize me anymore. Relationships crumble because I'm either working or distracted. And yeah, sometimes I wonder if I've made the right choices." His confession hung heavy in the air, a stark contrast to the polished image he usually projected. Then, turning his attention back to the host, Musk delivered his final blow. "And you," he said, pointing directly at the man who had spent the evening tearing him down. "Why does it matter so much to humiliate people? What satisfaction do you get from making someone feel small? Is that really what passes for entertainment these days?" The host opened his mouth to respond, but found no words. For once, he looked genuinely uncomfortable. The studio fell eerily silent, the kind of quiet that vibrates with unspoken emotions. Cameras panned over the audience, capturing wide-eyed stares and trembling lips. Even the crew seemed frozen, their usual professionalism giving way to awe. This wasn't just television anymore. It was a moment of truth, raw and unfiltered. In the front row, a young woman dabbed at her cheeks with trembling hands. Nearby, an older man whispered to his wife, "I didn't think he had it in him." Backstage, producers exchanged stunned glances, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let the moment breathe. One intern openly sobbed, overwhelmed by the authenticity unfolding before her. What began as a hostile interview transformed into something profound, a testament to the strength found in vulnerability. Musk's words resonated beyond the studio walls, reaching hearts worldwide. Social media erupted instantly, fans praising his courage, while critics scrambled to reevaluate their stance. "You don't see that often," murmured a producer into his headset. "Not from someone like him." Finally, applause broke the silence, a slow swell that grew louder until it filled the entire studio. People rose to their feet, clapping not just for Musk's achievements, but for his humanity. Even the host managed a reluctant smile, though his discomfort remained evident. As Musk stood to leave, the weight on his shoulders felt lighter, not gone, but manageable. For the first time in years, he felt seen, not as a billionaire or a visionary, but as a person. Within minutes of the interview airing, social media erupted like a digital wildfire. Hashtags like Elon Truth and Talk Show Takedown threaded globally, sparking debates across platforms. Fans praised Musk's authenticity, calling him a man unafraid to show his humanity. Critics, however, accused him of orchestrating a calculated PR move, a desperate attempt to play the victim. "Did you see that moment? He didn't just answer, he owned it," one fan tweeted, their post quickly amassing thousands of likes. Meanwhile, detractors fired back. Classic Elon, always turning criticism into self-promotion. Was this really about honesty or ratings? The internet buzzed with opinions, dissecting every word, gesture, and pause from the interview. For better or worse, Musk had captured the world's attention once again. But this time, the stakes felt deeply personal. As the online discourse raged on, Musk remained silent, an unusual choice for someone who often engaged directly with critics. Supporters rallied behind him, sharing stories of their own struggles with failure and public scrutiny. "He reminded me that it's okay to be imperfect," wrote a young entrepreneur, her heartfelt message resonating with thousands. Yet skepticism lingered. Journalists questioned whether Musk's vulnerability was genuine or another layer of his carefully curated persona. Opinion pieces flooded news outlets, some hailing him as a symbol of resilience, others dismissing him as manipulative. Amid the chaos, Musk retreated, not out of fear, but to process the whirlwind he'd unleashed. Back at his secluded estate, Musk unplugged completely. Phones were silenced, emails ignored, and even his closest advisors barred from contacting him. Alone in the sprawling quiet of his home, he allowed himself to breathe, for the first time in years, without an agenda. He wandered through empty hallways, replaying the interview in his mind. Each memory brought fresh waves of emotion, pride for standing his ground, shame for moments of weakness, and guilt for the relationships he'd neglected along the way. For hours, he sat by the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean, watching waves crash against the shore. It was here, surrounded by nature's raw power, that Musk began confronting the truths he'd long avoided. Memories surfaced unbidden, painful fragments of a life lived under constant pressure. There was the argument with Grimes during their breakup, her voice trembling as she said, "You love your dreams more than you'll ever love anyone." Then came the image of his youngest child, Maya, clutching a graduation cap, tears streaming down her face. "You promised," she'd whispered before walking away. Musk clenched his fists, fighting back tears. These weren't just regrets. They were fractures in the foundation of his life, cracks widened by years of relentless ambition. A courier arrived the next morning with an envelope bearing his son Xavier's handwriting. Inside was a letter that left Musk speechless. "Dad," it began, "I know we haven't always seen eye to eye, but last night, I saw you. Not the billionaire or the innovator, but the person behind it all. And I'm proud of you." Tears blurred Musk's vision as he read the words over and over. For the first time in years, he picked up the phone and dialed Xavier's number. "I got your letter," Musk said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you." On the other end, Xavier hesitated before replying, "It's overdue, Dad. Let's start fixing things." Encouraged by his family's outreach, Musk decided to seek professional help. In private therapy sessions, he confronted insecurities he'd buried beneath layers of achievement. "I've spent my life chasing validation," he admitted to his therapist, Dr. Elena Hart. "But no matter how much I accomplish, it never feels like enough." Dr. Hart nodded gently. "Success doesn't heal wounds, it amplifies them if they're left untreated. What do you want your legacy to truly be?" Her question lingered, forcing Musk to rethink not just his goals, but the values guiding them. While Musk grappled with his inner turmoil, the talk show host faced his own reckoning. Viewers criticized his aggressive tactics, accusing him of crossing ethical lines. Major sponsors withdrew funding, citing concerns over the show's toxic tone. "This isn't journalism, it's cruelty," one sponsor stated publicly, echoing widespread sentiment. Ratings plummeted overnight, leaving the host scrambling to salvage his career. In a humbling live broadcast, the host addressed the controversy head-on. "I owe Elon Musk and my audience an apology," he began, his usual bravado replaced by sincerity. "My intention wasn't to hurt anyone, but clearly I crossed a line. That's on me." Though skeptical, viewers acknowledged the rarity of such humility from a figure known for arrogance. Emerging from solitude, Musk announced a shift in focus. No longer content to simply innovate, he pledged to use his platform for advocacy, starting with mental health awareness. "We can build rockets and dream of Mars," he declared in a candid Instagram post, "but none of it matters unless we take care of each other here on Earth." His announcement sparked conversations worldwide, inspiring fans to share their own struggles openly. What started as a hostile confrontation became a catalyst for growth. Musk reconnected with loved ones and embraced vulnerability, while the host reinvented his show, focusing on empathy over sensationalism. Their journey served as reminders that even those in the spotlight are human, and sometimes redemption begins with a single, honest moment. Musk's journey toward reconciliation began with small, deliberate steps. He invited his children to dinner, not at a flashy restaurant, but at a quiet cafe where they could talk without distractions. "I know I haven't been the dad you deserved," he admitted, his voice steady but tinged with regret. "But I want to change that, if you'll let me." His youngest daughter, Maya, hesitated before responding. "It's not just about being there, Dad. It's about listening. Really hear us." For once, Musk didn't offer solutions or excuses. Instead, he nodded, absorbing her words like a sponge. Over time, these conversations became more frequent, each one chipping away at years of distance. Family dinners turned into weekend hikes, laughter replacing the tension that had long defined their interactions. Inspired by his own struggles, Musk launched an initiative aimed at destigmatizing mental health discussions among public figures. In interviews and social media posts, he spoke openly about therapy, imposter syndrome, and the isolating effects of fame. "We're told to be invincible," he said during a TED Talk viewed by millions. "But vulnerability isn't weakness. It's strength, and it's time we stop pretending otherwise." His candor resonated deeply, particularly with younger audiences who idolized him not just as an innovator, but as someone unafraid to confront his flaws. The shift in public perception was gradual but undeniable. Fans who once dismissed Musk as aloof now saw him as relatable, a man grappling with the same fears and doubts they faced daily. "Elon used to feel untouchable," wrote one fan on Twitter. "Now he feels human, like someone I'd actually want to have coffee with." Even critics softened their tone, acknowledging his efforts to use his platform responsibly. Articles praising his advocacy work replaced headlines questioning his motives, marking a turning point in how the world viewed him. Social media became a safe space for people to share their struggles, inspired by Musk's openness. Watching Elon talk about failure made me realize it's okay to not have everything figured out. Posted a college student struggling with anxiety. Another user shared, "I've been hiding my depression for years because I thought no one would understand. Seeing someone like Elon speak up gave me courage to do the same." These stories flooded timelines, creating a ripple effect of empathy and connection. For many, Musk's vulnerability became a catalyst for healing. Meanwhile, the talk show host embarked on his own transformation. Gone were the biting jabs and calculated insults. In their place came thoughtful questions and genuine curiosity. In one episode, he welcomed a struggling actor known for battling addiction. Rather than probing for scandalous details, the host asked, "What's helping you stay strong through this?" The audience responded warmly, applauding his newfound sensitivity. Ratings slowly climbed as viewers embraced the show's new direction. Critics took notice of the host's evolution, praising his ability to adapt without losing authenticity. "This isn't just a rebrand, it's growth," wrote a prominent entertainment journalist. "And it's refreshing to see someone in the spotlight admit they got it wrong." Viewers echoed similar sentiments, flooding comment sections with messages of support. "You've changed the way I watch interviews," one fan wrote. "Thank you for showing kindness." The incident sparked broader societal discussions, with celebrities, psychologists, and everyday individuals weighing in on the pressures of fame. "It's easy to forget that stars are people too," said Dr. Elena Hart during a panel discussion. "They face scrutiny most of us can't imagine. Creating spaces for honest dialogue is crucial." Talk shows, podcasts, and news outlets dedicated segments to exploring these themes, amplifying calls for greater compassion in how public figures are treated. Other high-profile figures followed Musk's lead, using their platforms to advocate for systemic change. Beyoncé addressed postpartum depression in a candid Instagram post, while Ryan Reynolds opened up about managing anxiety amid Hollywood's chaos. "We owe it to ourselves and to each other to normalize these conversations," Reynolds tweeted, tagging Musk in gratitude. Their collective efforts created a cultural shift, encouraging fans and peers alike to prioritize mental well-being over perfection. Internally, Musk underwent a profound transformation. No longer driven solely by external validation, he began prioritizing relationships and personal fulfillment. "I used to measure success by achievements," he reflected during a private moment. "Now I measure it by moments. Time spent laughing with my kids, connecting with strangers online, or simply sitting quietly by the ocean." This internal shift allowed him to find peace, even amidst the chaos of his ambitious projects. The interview's impact extended far beyond Musk and the host. It touched lives globally. Families reconnected, friendships deepened, and countless individuals found solace in shared vulnerability. As Musk stood backstage after delivering another heartfelt speech, he received a text from Xavier. "Proud of you, Dad. Keep going." Tears welled in his eyes as he replied, "Couldn't have done it without you." For both Musk and the host, redemption wasn't just personal, it was universal. Their journeys served as reminders that even those in the brightest spotlights face shadows, and that embracing them can illuminate paths for others. As the dust settled from the whirlwind of events, one truth emerged crystal clear: perfection is an illusion. Elon Musk's journey wasn't about achieving flawlessness, it was about embracing imperfection. Authenticity isn't about being fearless, he reflected during a quiet moment alone. It's about facing your fears and showing up anyway. This revelation resonated deeply with fans who had long admired his achievements but now found inspiration in his humanity. Success, Musk realized, wasn't measured by accolades or milestones. It was defined by staying true to oneself, even when the world demanded otherwise. Musk's struggles weren't unique to him, they were universal. Loneliness, doubt, fear of failure. These emotions didn't discriminate between billionaires and everyday individuals. "I used to think I was alone in feeling this way," he admitted during a candid podcast interview. "But the more I opened up, the more I realized we're all fighting similar battles. We just hide them better." His words struck a chord, reminding listeners that behind every glamorous facade lies a person grappling with insecurities. Icons weren't untouchable, they were mirrors reflecting shared vulnerabilities. Musk's decision to bare his soul sparked a chain reaction of healing. Fans flooded social media with their own stories, creating a tapestry of collective resilience. "It takes courage to be vulnerable," wrote a fan named Sarah. "Elon showed us it's okay to not have everything figured out, and that changed everything for me." By normalizing conversations around mental health and failure, Musk fostered a culture of empathy. Vulnerability became a bridge connecting strangers, proving that honesty could heal wounds society often ignored. The incident also shifted how audiences viewed public figures. Instead of idolizing or vilifying celebrities, fans began seeing them as multidimensional humans navigating complex lives. "They're not gods, they're people," said a high school teacher addressing her class after discussing Musk's story. "And treating them with compassion changes how we see ourselves, too." This newfound perspective encouraged deeper connections, not just with stars, but with each other. Humanity thrived on understanding, not judgment. For Musk, success evolved beyond rockets and riches. It became about moments, laughter shared with his children, letters exchanged with fans, quiet evenings spent reflecting. "I used to chase validation," he confessed to a close friend. "Now I chase peace. And oddly enough, that's brought me closer to what truly matters." His transformation inspired others to redefine their own measures of fulfillment, prioritizing relationships, passions, and inner growth over external markers of achievement. Ultimately, Musk's redemption transcended personal boundaries, igniting change across generations. Young fans pursued dreams unapologetically, while older admirers embraced second chances. "This isn't just Elon's story," said a motivational speaker at a global summit. "It's ours." His courage reminds us that no matter where we are, there's always room to grow, to be better, kinder, truer versions of ourselves. In the end, Musk's legacy wasn't built on rockets or riches. It was forged in vulnerability, empathy, and authenticity. A single moment under the spotlight had illuminated paths for millions, proving that even the brightest stars shine brightest when they embrace their shadows.